Hi, welcome to Amy's Opinions. I'm here with my friend Jocelyn,
Hello.
and today we're going to talk about service animals versus emotional support animals.
That's right.
So, both Jocelyn and I are nurses, and we see this come up in the hospital all the time. I know it's a big thing for public areas because lately everyone wants to bring their pet with them. So, there's a lot of things that are interesting with service animals. People can get their animal certified online. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
You can go online and you can answer some questions and you can get a certificate mailed to you saying that your dog, cat, whatever is actually a service animal.
I thought it took extensive training.
Does, but when they say service animal, they mean emotional support animals. That's the only thing you can do to certify your animal as an emotional support animal. And what people don't realize, they think if they get this little certificate from online, oh, I have the papers, hey, I went through this, that animal, that dog, we're going to go with dogs because that's a service animal would be dog, horse, anything that's specifically trained. We're going to go with dogs. That dog can go with them wherever they want to go. So, like my little 8-pound schnoodle,
Right.
I could take him and he could come into the hospital with me, into the grocery store with me, into a restaurant, movie, whatever, because I have a little thing saying he's my emotional support schnoodle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not right. In
That's
fact, do you want to see my dog?
Sure.
Let me grab my dog just a minute.
Go get mine in a minute. Well, look at him.
So everyone, this is my dog George.
Hey, Georgie.
And he's a small dog. He weighs 8 pounds, maybe 10 pounds. Hi, I love you too. Yes. And he thinks he's the boss of the family. But he's also an emotional support animal. Is he certified? No. And when I say he's an emotional support animal, if I'm having a bad day, guess who comes and cuddles me?
That's right.
Guess who, when I'm anxious, comes and sits with me and distracts me?
That's right.
That's my pet. He's part of my family. Would I take him in the hospital? No. That's an area that people are sick and they have low immune systems.
That's right.
Would I take him in a restaurant? I have, but it was a dog-friendly restaurant. Otherwise, no, because people are eating and that's not sanitary.
That's right.
Who wants to sit next to someone's dog?
That's right.
You know,
Screeching and licking and shaking.
and I mean, I don't know if you can see, but he definitely needs a bath. He has grass and chicken stuff in his fur, and he's just kind of dirty right now.
So you got
But
chickens too?
yeah.
Okay.
And do I consider chickens emotional support animals? Absolutely not.
Oh, but they
My
can.
husband does.
I was about to say they can be.
They can be. My husband does. They're his pets, but I'm terrified of birds.
Oh, okay.
So, George, I'm going to put you down now, okay?
Bye, George. You're pretty, George.
I love
So
you.
I have a
Alright.
Yorkie. I have a Yorkie and I have a Pit Bull Terrier. My Yorkie, his name is Loki. He'll be 1 year old next month, and he needs a haircut like George, cut down low. His hair is awful, and what I would take him to a outside place because even if it was a dog friendly place, I know for sure that Loki's hair, when he shakes, I can see the hair fly.
Right.
So I would have respect for my surrounding people that's eating with me to not even do them like that, because dog shake, dog lick, dog bite themselves, clean themselves, that I wouldn't want them to eat a piece of Loki as they're eating their steak or burger or whatever they're eating.
Now, when we were traveling, because, we took a cross-country trip and we had George with us. We went to the Crazy Horse Monument, and I want to say it was in South Dakota, and we could take George in there with us, but I kept him contained to a dog carrier. It was a dog carrier backpack. When we were outside, he could be outside on the leash, but when we were in the museum, he was in there. And that was just because we were traveling across country. And we took him with us. And the restaurant there let us take him in. And I ended up taking him out and eating because he was not well behaved. But then when we were in Deadwood, they actually had restaurants for dogs where you could sit outside with your dogs,
right.
and they had menus for dogs. Now, when you're outside, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking
That's
your
right.
dog. But inside a restaurant,
Yeah,
no, I
I'm
don't
iffy
want.
about that.
Yeah. But let's talk about service animals. The American with Disability Act defines a service animal as an animal that is there to trained to perform a task.
That's right.
So when you have someone come into your place of business, you're allowed to ask, is this a service animal?
Mm-hmm.
And what service does it provide?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they say, is my emotional support animal, that's an automatic no. Emotional support animals are not covered under the American with Disability Acts for places to automatically let them in, unless you have PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say this is my emotional support animal for my PTSD, that is allowed because with PTSD, you can have flashbacks, and those animals are trained to kind of distract you and get you out of those flashbacks and calm down. That's the only time an emotional support animal or someone says my emotional support animal will be allowed into any facility, is if it's for PTSD. Now,
I have a question.
Mhm.
Okay, so say I have an emotional support animal. Is it okay for the business that I'm going to asking me that question, like what to support, what, and for me to say PTSD? Right. So
No. So if you just automatically come in and say, hey, this is my service animal,
that's
because
right.
that's all we can say.
That's
You
right.
can ask, is this a service animal and what service does it provide? If you do not give up that information, that animal can be denied under law.
Okay. See,
So if you say,
I thought if it was a service animal that no matter, like, because I knew they couldn't ask the question. They can't go into detail. You know what I mean? I didn't know that they could deny you service if you didn't
Mhm.
disclose. You know what I mean?
Well, for instance, I had someone once want to bring in their chihuahuas. They had 2 chihuahuas.
Mm-hmm.
And like all these, at least most of my stories, I don't know why, but chihuahuas, people think they're service animals. They can be. Any dog, any animal can be trained. And this person told me, who was over 300 pounds, that he had to have both of them come in because they were a service animal trained to give him CPR if he had a heart attack.
2 5-pound chihuahuas.
It took 2 of them to perform effective CPR on him.
All right now.
So unfortunately, I had to get other people higher up than me involved, and
Mm-hmm.
that was denied.
That's right.
Because we can't ask for paperwork.
That's right.
But we can, if it's not believable, we can question it. You can go and talk to someone that has a little bit more better of an understanding. Hey, is this allowed? Now, we've had people bring in a service animal, and you ask them, hey, is this a service animal? And they say, yep. What service? You can ask. You're allowed to ask, what service does this animal provide? And they can say, diabetes, seizures, blind. Because blind, you can obviously,
That's right.
a seeing eye dog,
Right.
you can see.
That's right.
You can tell that's for them. Those are very common service
Okay.
animals. And if they say it's my emotional support animal, you say, no, we don't allow emotional support animals. It's up to the person to say what the emotional support's for.
Okay.
Now, PTSD is not just for military.
That's right.
You can be a victim of, you can have a car accident,
Mm-hmm.
have PTSD. You can have a victim of a crime
Mm-hmm.
and have PTSD.
Right. Trauma.
Those calls. You can have an animal that's trained to help you cope with that.
Mm-hmm.
And you might consider it your emotional support animal because you don't want to say it's for PTSD because you don't want that label.
Right.
But if you don't use that and you just say emotional support, a business and company is allowed to say no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I have seen even iguanas as emotional support animals, chickens as emotional support animals, a horse like we discussed before as a ferret, emotional support animals. I get it. I mean, I feel like you're right, because our dogs pick up our emotions and they do comfort us. But
now I have a Newfoundland who's over 200 pounds.
Okay.
And we got this Newfie, we got Ty, from a breeder whose father was a Marine who had PTSD. And she picked out 2 out of all her litters to train for military for PTSD, to be a PTSD dog. And it was right after my husband came back from overseas, and he'd had some issues over there, not a lot, but some issues. And Ty just loved on my husband. So she let us adopt him. She had pulled him out to be a PTSD dog, but she let us adopt him because my husband was in the Army. He'd been over to a war zone and he came back. Did we get him trained for that? No. Does my husband have PTSD? I don't know. He's never been diagnosed with that. As far as I know, that's on him if he wants to share that. But my father had severe PTSD. He's a Vietnam vet. And the first time my dad came over to my house after I had this dog, and the dog was about 180 pounds, still a puppy, he would not leave my dad's side.
Wow.
He stood next. I mean, my dad was a postal carrier. He was postman, and he retired as a postmaster. So he wasn't comfortable around large dogs. And I remember my dad with his 2 little dogs. He had a Shih Tzu and a Cotton Poo, a poodle mix. And Ty just wanted to love on my dad, and he would just go plop his head on my dad. And my dad held up his Shih Tzu and started going, no, Pete, no, Pete, no, Pete. My 2 Rottweilers and my Newfoundland thought that dog was a chew toy, and my dad was getting ready to throw his Shih Tzu for them. And I was laughing so hard that my husband had to come and rescue my dad. And this dog didn't understand why my dad didn't necessarily like him, because he loved my dad. My dad accidentally left a shirt behind, and that dog slept with that shirt and carried it around forever. He really attached himself to my dad. And the only thing I can think of is because he felt what my dad was going through.
That's right.
And my dad's nervousness. And animals are great. They're therapeutic. I love animals.
But
But I
right,
think there's a
so
time and place.
service dogs and emotional support dogs. So your emotional support dog, depending on what the issue is, they get trained, right?
Mhm.
So for like because of what's that anxiety, they might apply pressure, and PTSD they apply pressure. But most dog support, you see, it comes natural to them. You know, for most of the support emotionally that you need, right? So what do they go through? So it's the dog. So what training is for the emotional support? So I know like the CNI dog and the diabetes and the seizures, you know, they get
Do you know they
males.
have dogs that are trained to sniff out bed bugs?
Well, I did not know that, but I can believe it that they have dogs to do some of everything, because just like for allergies, they do have dogs that can sniff plates to see if anything in that plate might have peanuts or peanut oil
Mhm.
or and things like that. So I do believe it. I mean, it's a wonderful thing that if it can happen, let it happen. But I just don't want to abuse it. You know, we all love our animals and want to take them with us and have cute little bags for the little ones, cute little shirts and headgear for the bigger ones, but let's not abuse the power that these wonderful animals can have, you know?
Right. I mean, and I think, and this is coming from a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Once COVID hit and people were isolated, I saw a lot more people trying to bring in animals into the hospitals. Now, and I'm talking about all over the United States, because, I'm not from this area. I've only been in this area for about 6 years, but I'm talking about from previous jobs. I heard we hardly ever had a dog in the hospital, because if it was a dog for a medical reason, we're monitoring their medical reasons. But for some reason, once COVID hit, people wanted to bring in their animals, and some of that was security. Some of that is, oh my God, what if something happens to me? Who's going to take care of my dog? Because dogs are part of the family. Your pets are part of your family for most people. Let me clarify that. For most people, not like the puppy mills, but for most people, they're part of your family. The thing is when you're taking an animal into a situation that's a service animal, and say, it's for diabetes, or it's for seizures, or it's for something that, the healthcare system's going to watch. If you don't have someone that can walk that dog and take care of that dog, you can't have that animal in the hospital setting, because healthcare staff members are not allowed to take care of your animal for you.
That's right.
And people don't realize that. I can leave and I can go do this. No, you're on a heart monitor. You can't leave because we have to monitor your heart. You came in for heart problems.
You're supposed to be sick, remember?
Mm-hmm. And if that animal defecates or makes a mess in the room, well, now we have an infection control
That's right.
issue. Or if you have to go for a test, who's going to watch that
That's
animal?
right. Housekeeping can't get into the room to clean it while you're gone, you know, for the convenience of.
And if you say it's a service animal and we ask you a question, you say yes, and it turns around and bites
That's
someone,
right.
that animal has to leave immediately, and we have to turn it into, animal control, because now it's a safety issue. So I get wanting to have your animals with you.
Mhm.
When George was a puppy, I took him to pet stores. At one point, I had to take him with me to the grocery store because I was getting him a leash. I didn't have a leash, and it was right after we got him. And I put him in a purse.
Mhm.
He's small enough to fit in a
Yeah.
purse. I went there, and bam, I was home. That's the only time he's been in a grocery store. Why would I want a dog or any animal in produce that I'm going to buy?
That's right.
That's my pet peeve. But if you have a service animal, do I think you need it? Yes.
Mhm.
Do I think you should have it? Yes. But I think people are abusing the
Yes.
situation. I really do. Do we have dogs that are trained in CPR? Yeah, we do. You
Mhm.
can YouTube it. But they're larger dogs.
Mhm.
And let's face it, if you're going to do effective CPR, you have to be able to push down 1.5 inches and allow the recoil. Two chihuahuas on a
The
big guy,
300, not gonna work.
not going to happen.
Not at all.
That's not believable.
That's right.
If you have anxiety, you can get a note from your psychiatric doctor that this is your emotional support animal for anxiety,
That's right.
without the animal being trained. My dad had his Shih Tzu had a certificate, but he had it from his psychiatric doctor. But he had a good psychiatrist. He had to take it in, had it monitored. This is what we're doing. This is what calms down. Okay, yeah. So they gave him a note and had the animal certify that was a service animal for his PTSD, because anytime my dad would start getting nervous or anxious, that dog calmed him down.
And I get it, and I love that. But and then some people just get so defensive when, when we, especially in the healthcare field, we have to ask these questions.
Mhm.
It's for our worker safety, for everyone else safety that you're going to be coming in contact with. So we don't want you to get defensive. It's not that we don't believe you. I would love, for you to have the animal that keeps you calm and that's going to help you get through this hospital stay or get through this doctor visit. I would love for them to be with you, but I also have to keep my staff safe. Because everything works with one. I need physical therapy. I need EVS. I need, the ultrasound tech. I need all of these people to be safe to help you. You know what I mean? So I
Well,
just don't want them to be so defensive when we're going through the process of making sure that we're, doing the right thing.
I had a friend who kept getting MRSA skin infections, and they tested this friend, couldn't figure out why. She slept with her dogs, and finally they found out that she was getting the infection from her dogs. So, there's reasons why there's certain areas it's not appropriate to bring a dog.
That's right. I agree.
There's not. And if you can't take care of your service animal, well, make sure that you're taking care of because you're in a healthcare facility. There's other ways that we can monitor and I get that it's very anxious and everyone's nervous, especially when we stopped letting visitors come into the hospitals a few years ago. That made everyone very paranoid, and I understand that. I thought that was a horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, at that time, the government mandated this is what we have to do, and we had to do it. But and a lot of healthcare workers are still getting pushback on that because they feel it's the healthcare workers' fault when it was actually the elected officials who made that decision.
But once again, we were still keeping you safe because we didn't know who, what, when, where, how all this stuff was getting transmitted. I mean, the signs and symptoms of it was different for everybody. Some people had symptoms and was carrying. Some people didn't have symptoms and was carrying. So,
and it was mutating fast.
That's right.
So I mean, it was a hard time for not only patients but healthcare workers too. We lost a lot of good healthcare workers because healthcare is not just patient oriented. The part of the patient's the family.
That's right.
And without that support there, you're treating the patient, but you're not able to give them all the support. And that's when we saw a lot more people trying to bring their animals in because they just needed that comfort of having something there. And if they couldn't have their human there, well, can we have our animal?
Now, were you there when we had the homeless man that had his dog up there? So, and I was surprised that went on. I was shocked at that. But I didn't have to take care of him, so.
But that's what I'm thinking. I think a lot of people, their dogs are their children.
Yeah.
Like George, he's still in the room in a closed room with me, guarding me from the window.
That's right.
When I'm home, he's right there with me.
Right up under you.
And I have 4 dogs. And when I'm away from him, do I miss them? Yeah. And when I see people have their animals or the therapy animals that we have come into the hospital, do I miss my dog? Yeah. But I'm also there to do a job.
That's right.
And if you're a patient, you're there to do a job too. You're there to get better. You're there to be part of the healthcare team to get better. And sometimes you can't have your animal with you to get better, unfortunately.
And we're healthcare workers, but I'm pretty sure every job has it. We go through all emotions. Because we're sympathetic, we're empathetic, because we take care of the patients. We get anxiety, we get overwhelmed. Because I'm not even gonna lie. I've been at our job. It'll be 19 years in July, and for the first time, I was so overwhelmed the other day that I had to put myself in timeout. I felt like I was gonna scream, so I did. I had to put myself in timeout and do some breathing exercises and calm down. You don't think I would rather have my favorite pillow to cuddle up with and my dog, he sits on top of my head, I'm applying pressure to my head. That's comforting to me. You know what I mean? So it's like a big hug up here and then I'm hugging my pillow. So you didn't think I want that right then, but I had to cope. I had to reel it in, get your 5 minutes, do what you got to do to bring yourself down and jump back out there, so, and I'm pretty sure everybody that has a job, every day's not a good day. Every day's not a good day.
But I do think as society, people are abusing the service animal.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're trying to abuse that situation and keep their animal with them. And I think it's gone so far overboard that people that truly need a service animal, they're getting defensive. Because people who don't need service animals or they want to bring their pets and label them as emotional support animals, it's kind of wrecking it for people who truly need the service animal.
That's right.
And I think as society, people need to look at, okay, what's really appropriate here? I'm going out in public. Is this really somewhere? It'd be like taking a dog to a movie. Why would you want to take a dog to a movie theater unless you truly needed that dog in that
Right.
movie theater?
Right.
You know, why would you do that? I've never seen a dog in a movie theater. Have you?
I haven't. Well, I haven't been out much either since they got
But still, I
Netflix.
mean,
But no, I have
or would
not.
you take a dog to a public swimming pool?
Now I have seen that.
Okay, I haven't seen that, but I haven't been to a public swimming pool for a while.
I have seen that, but I don't want to swim with your dog. I mean, if you can't swim, you yell for help. We got you. You know what I mean? But
Right? That's why we have
if your
lifeguards.
dog can smell that your blood sugar is going up or your blood sugar is dropping, and he's barking from the sideline, then you know what that signal means. That's your signal to go check yourself.
Take care of it.
That's right. Your dog is signaling you. But no, I don't.
But it's not an emotional support animal. That's an actual
That's
service
a service
animal.
dog, right? Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, you're right.
You see the difference. You're not going to take.
Got you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, got you.
You know, if you have a seizure dog, hey, yeah, that's keeping you safe even at a public area. That would be keeping you safe.
Yeah.
But an emotional support animal, I don't see people taking their emotional support animals to things like the movie theaters, sporting events.
Right. Got you. That's right.
You know, things like that. I wouldn't expect to see one. So why would I expect to see one in a restaurant or in a healthcare facility or a library or a school situation?
Right.
You know, if I'm not going to see it at fun things like movie theaters, swimming, you know, things like that, why would I expect to see it at harder things?
Every day, yeah.
Or everyday things are going out.
Oh yeah.
So that's just my opinion.
I get it.
My opinion is I believe in service animals. I think they have a purpose. But I think when people start certifying their pets as emotional support animals, that kind of wrecked the whole thing for service animals because then people want to take their emotional support animal with them everywhere when it's not covered. And they don't understand the difference between an emotional support animal versus an animal that's trained to provide a certain task that has to do with them.
Yeah, that thin line.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know what your
Can you
opinion
see
is.
how I just got it mixed up right then? Because I'm still thinking, you know what I mean? So I guess it's just the emotional support. I guess it's like, come on. I mean, I need emotional support all the time throughout the day. You know what I mean? All the time throughout the day, no matter where I'm at. But I don't know. So maybe that's what they need to. They need to go to emotional support class, and they teach them how to bring it down with some breathing exercises or some aromatherapy or something like that while you're out where your pet cannot go. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe you need to have a backup plan. Okay, well, hey, we're going to PetSmart. My emotional support dog can go with me there, but now I'm going to the movies and he can't go with me there, so I have this as the backup. My music, my aroma, or something, my
Something
favorite
that's appropriate for that setting.
Right, there you go. So maybe along with an emotional support animal, you need a plan B for when you cannot bring your emotional support animal.
Well, I started seeing a rise. You know, I've been a nurse for about almost 30 years now. Not quite 30 years, but I started seeing a rise in people having service animals that were emotional support animals, and that's what they labeled them. This my service animal is emotional support. Probably about 15, 16 years ago.
Okay.
Is when my kids were little, you know, and that at that time there was a big push with the military for treating people with PTSD better.
Right.
And they started having dogs for the military with their PTSD issues. You know, it all kind of stormed all around when we went back over to the Middle East.
Right.
You know, that and people started coming back and they were trying to make sure our soldiers were better protected. Right. That's about the time I started seeing a rise in emotional support animals. But then everyone went, you know, you found out you could get a certificate and then you think that's just an automatic, hey, I can take this dog with me because I have it's a service animal, and they start labeling them service animals, emotional support, and that's where I think the public gets confused.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I can see.
And that's my opinion. I think service animals are good.
Yeah,
I think they should be allowed everywhere.
That's right.
But emotional support animals, to me, that is a pet that gives you emotional support. And I agree with the law that no, they shouldn't be allowed everywhere.
That's right.
You know, there's certain places that it's not appropriate.
Right.
It's just not appropriate.
You need to have your backup comfort for those places. So yeah. So I get it. Yeah. I mean that makes sense. I mean, like you said, I wouldn't mind carrying Loki with me everywhere too. He made me joy. I look at his little cute ugly face and you know, but
Right.
I can't. You know. So
All right. So that about wraps up this session. Do you have any closing comments you want to make?
No, let's just not abuse the system, guys, because some people really need these services, and I want them to have the services. So if emergency happens, they got the thing that they need. So let's just be kind to each other and be cautious of everyone around us. That's all.
All right. Thank you for joining me today, Jocelyn.
No problem.
All right. Y'all have a good day.